Hello everyone. So a couple weeks ago I sent out a post on Facebook and on my newsletter asking if you guys would find it interesting if I explain the stuff I'm doing, the experiments I'm working on. An overwhelming number said yes, so here we go. It's very sunny but very cold outside, so I figured I'd do it out here in the sun. So the current experiment going on is a 5-day experiment of eating nothing but 100 milliliters, or about 100 grams, of a specific oil. That is the short version. I'm doing this together with my two younger brothers, one of which lives close and the other lives in Amsterdam. So to properly explain why we would do such a silly thing, there's a couple things that we got to cover. So first, the concept of fasting. A bunch of you probably already know that since I was about 16, 18, I started doing a thing called intermittent fasting, where you eat only 8 hours a day. Before it was cool, I might add. It's a little pop culture now. So yes, hipster. Since then, a lot of research has transferred from, that had previously been done in mice, has now been done in humans, at least partially on short-term markers. The idea is that your body has two metabolic modes of being. The one being build stuff and grow, and the other being repair and break down things that aren't working. The idea is that while you eat, your body will be growing things, muscle, bone, skin, whatever. Basically just keeping you in a what we call an anabolic state, a state in which your body is constantly building new things. The idea of fasting is that you give your body a prolonged amount of time to break down the parts of your cellular apparatus that is not working properly. And once it's broken down, later you would replace it by new components. The research is actually quite cool. It's quite compelling. But hypothetically, the greatest benefits from fasting only happen once you fast for a number of days. So while intermittent fasting is cool, the idea of eating only 8 hours a day, which means that every day you fast for 16, while it's cool, it doesn't capture the full benefits. Now, a 5 or more day fast where you only consume water is incredibly hard. You're going to be grumpy, you're going to be hungry at least the first 2 days. It's not as hard as one might think, but it's definitely not an optimal mode of being. So earlier this year, I read a book called The Longevity Diet by Dr. Walter Longo. And what he did is he proposed something called the fast mimicking diet, which is a diet in which you eat specific things, a limited subsection of things, at a very low caloric intake. So as opposed to the 2,000 calories that you need to consume every day, you instead consume 1,000 of only particular types. And the idea is that, I hope you can hear me with the wind. See if this fluffy thing I put in my microphone is actually working. The idea is that by eating little and by eating particular things, you can get the benefits of fasting without actually having to not eat, which sounds quite compelling. Now, of course, being the oddballs that we are, me and my little brother had this little brainstorm, and we thought of combining this fast mimicking diet approach with something called ketosis. And actually, I think I'm going to break this video off for 1 second, so my camera can only film in 10-minute increments. So we'll just sort of cap the fasting bit there, and in the next recording I'll talk a bit about ketosis and what that means for your body. Alright, so what we just talked about is the idea that your body can either build when you eat, or it can repair when you're fasting. Note, everything I'm saying is very unnuanced, and I'm basically ignoring all the intricacies of the human body. The human body is incredibly complex. Of course, it can repair some stuff when you eat. Obviously, you still heal when you eat. So, assume that everything I'm saying is an oversimplification for the reason of explaining to you why we're doing these silly things. So, in fasting, we're trying to make the body repair. One of the elements of that is that the body switches from a metabolism based on sugar, on glucose, to a metabolism based on fats, particular ketones. So you're probably familiar, at least with the terms carbohydrate, protein, and fat. So when you eat an average diet, you get quite a bit of carbohydrates. And what that means is that your body is going to depend on carbohydrates as a source of energy. No matter what carbohydrate you eat, the vast majority is transformed into glucose, sugar. This is why we talk about blood sugar when we talk about the effect of carbohydrates on your body. The idea is that if you deprive your body of carbohydrates, it is not able to properly rely on sugar as a mode of energy. Note that the sugar we're talking about here is blood sugar, so it's not the sugar the way that you know it, you put it in coffee. In which case, if you put like sugar in your coffee, you really shouldn't. It's barbaric. Anyway, so funnily, I earlier just measured my blood glucose with a little device that I'll show you in detail a bit later. And according to it, I'm incredibly hypoglycemic right now, meaning that, well, if I'd be at a doctor's office and they wouldn't know that I'm currently in this state called ketosis, they would think I'm about to faint because of low blood sugar. So what your body does when it doesn't get these carbohydrates is it starts burning fats. And the way that you can measure that is by a particular metabolite of these fats called ketones. The nice thing about ketones is that they can cross, for example, the blood-brain barrier. So a lot of substances in your blood can't actually reach the brain. Ketones can cross into the brain, meaning your brain can use them for fuel. So in essence, when you fast, your body transforms from a sugar pathway to a fat-based pathway for both your muscles, your brain, and everything in between. One very interesting thing is that there's a lot of therapeutic benefits to having high ketones in the blood. Note that everything I'm saying is incredibly experimental. So everything I'm talking about now is basically, well, the research is interesting in mice, and there's a small subculture online of people who are really applying it to humans. But please note that anything I'm saying, like if you go to your doctor and say, hey, I'd like to go into ketosis and not depend on sugars in my blood, they're probably going to look at you a bit funny. That said, since all this research points to the idea that doing this, of getting into ketosis is beneficial, we decided to try and combine this idea of fasting with the concept of ketosis. And what we're trying to do is basically get into ketosis very quickly, while doing it in a caloric intake of under 1,000 kilocalories per day. That 1,000 limit is what was said by the fast mimicking diet by Dr. Walter Longo that I previously briefly mentioned. All right, so that's puzzle piece 2. So the idea that fasting is very good for you. I might actually, if I post this video publicly at some point, put some links in there that you can read if you'd like to know more about it. And the idea that ketosis next to fasting is also very beneficial, and that combining the two, hypothetically, could be quite a beneficial thing for your longevity. Again, super experimental, not proven, but yeah, well, making yourself into a human guinea pig is quite a fun thing to do. Anyways, that's puzzle piece 2. I'm going to break off this video again, and in the next couple minutes I'll explain what exactly it is that we're doing on a detailed level. So in our brainstorm, we decided to try and figure out a way to get into ketosis as quickly and deeply as possible. Oh, hey, cat. Cass says hello. So we try to figure out a way to get into ketosis quickly and deeply in this approach of combining fasting with ketosis. And the way we do that is we're stimulating the body to go into a ketotic state by fasting. So by consuming less than 1,000 calories a day, of which 0 are carbohydrates. How do we do that? This guy. So there's a number of types of oils and fats. Obviously, you've seen in your kitchen that there's a difference in quality purely when you look at it between, say, coconut oil, olive oil, etc. One of the differences on a molecular level is how long these fats are. So a fatty acid, you can consider sort of as this ball, this head with like 3 tails. We call these triglycerides. Now these fats, these tails, have a certain length. The longer they are, the longer chained, we call them. Research has shown that medium chain triglycerides, so fats of a medium length, which is determined by how many carbon atoms are in this molecule, in this length, are better at being converted into ketones than other fats. Particularly C8, medium chain triglycerides, which is what this one is, have been shown to be most effectively transformed from fats into ketones by your body. Our hypothesis was that if we trigger the body to want to be in ketosis and then give it more fuel to do so, we will reach ketosis faster. Usually when you fast, what your body does is it tries to extract fats from your own fat cells, but that's a process that can take a while to really kick off. So we're trying to sort of help that process by giving the body more of this substrate to create ketones with. So far the results have been quite good. So we're measuring our blood ketones with this device right here. It is a Freestyle Optium Neo. It was developed for diabetics. You can measure your blood sugar with it as well as your ketones. And I mean, you've probably seen a diabetic do this at some point. You get the little stick with the needle in it. I hate needles. You know, I really hate needles. But as far as things go, this is not too bad. You prick your finger, you get a little blood. You take one of these strips where, well, the glucose ones, so the blood sugar ones, are not too expensive. These are annoyingly expensive. I wish they weren't so bad. These are about €2.50 per measurement. So it's alright if you do like us, like a 5-day experiment. It's okay. You can pay this from the money that you save by not eating. But if you don't want to measure this on a daily basis, it gets expensive quite quickly. You put the strip in here. You basically dip it in your blood, and then it gives you a value on this screen. And this value is expressed in millimolars. For those of you who are already into the field of ketosis and are wondering, so what millimolars are you guys getting? Day one, the moment we started, both me and my brother here had 0.2 millimolars, and today we both crossed the 1 millimolar threshold within 24 hours, so that's quite good, we think. And so this is day 2. I seem quite optimistic right now. There's a good chance that I won't be feeling so happy tomorrow or the day after. I'm going to a concert tomorrow, so that'll be very interesting to see, 1,000 calories of fats as my only consumption. So yeah, that's basically what we're doing. I will most likely keep a little video log of this. I'm not sure if I'll publish it. I'm not even sure if I'll publish this really. But if I do, let me know if you find these videos interesting, and if so / not, what you would like to see and what you would like to know. So anyway, have a nice day. I'm gonna go back inside. It was nice to get some sun, but well, it's so cold that when my mother hung outside her wet dress yesterday, it froze. So yeah, not so warm.